A Michael Jackson biopic that ends in 1988? Because nothing interesting happened after that, right? The reviews are terrible, but is it really that bad? I'm fresh out the theater. Let's break it down. Alright, and welcome to the latest episode of What's Happening with me, Casey Foreman. Michael, starring Jaafar Jackson, Coleman Domingo, Nia Long, and Miles Teller. You know what this movie's about. A biopic for one of the biggest icons we've ever seen. It covers the Jackson 5 years, and most things through his Bad album in 1988. Michael debuted at 27% on Rotten Tomatoes, with most critics saying it lacks substance, has a messy plot, but does feature some memorable performances and musical sequences. And for the most part, I agree. It wasn't all bad. And I do want to start this video off by talking about the things I did enjoy. Maybe the reason to go see this is Jaafar Jackson. He seriously embodied Michael Jackson as this movie went along. There was a time where I was like, yeah, that's Michael Jackson. Now, I didn't always love the dialogue coming from his character, but anytime he was on stage performing, it was as if you were watching a recording of an old Michael performance, almost step for step. And you gotta shout out young Michael's performance as well by Giuliano Valdi. Wholesome and very fun. And anyone who likes Michael Jackson's classic hits will find themselves tapping their foot and enjoying the musical sequences and dances. I mean, some moments in the second half of the film legit looked like Michael Jackson in concert, which a lot of us never got to experience. But is that the only thing that's important when making a music biopic? That's all they seem to care about in Michael, which is disappointing in a movie about a person as complex and controversial as the king of pop. Like I said, this movie ends in 1988, and after all the legal issues attached to it, forcing filmmakers to rewrite and reshoot the third act of the film entirely, it's so clear that a different movie, maybe one with more depth, was out there somewhere. The pacing in Michael is all off, spending an uneven amount of time on different parts of Michael's career, leaving a lot of important and interesting storylines untouched. Sometimes it really felt like we were just jumping to random points in his timeline, not always connecting and feeling like something is missing. And because of how they jump around and leave certain things out, it didn't really feel like Michael Jackson outside of the musical performances. They somehow managed to make Michael Jackson a little boring. Never a word I used to describe MJ before. He did like his childish games and his exotic animals, but I thought lacked character substance and didn't really earn his character development. And maybe this is just me being a movie nerd or being a little too picky, but some of the camera shots they used in the performances when they would pan to the audience for reaction shots, those were rough. So, pretty much a very safe, limited, and somewhat unfinished biopic for the biggest pop star of all time. My rating on Michael is a 2.9 out of 5. If you're looking for Michael Jackson in concert, or if you're a huge Michael Jackson fan, this is worth checking out. Otherwise, it's just more of the same stereotypical biopic stuff, lacking substance and avoiding some of the most interesting and controversial parts of Jackson's life. And we'll see if there's a part 2, but I think a story like this could and should have been told in its entirety, in a single film. Let me know in the comments, though, if you have plans to see Michael in theaters. Again, I'm not gonna blame you if you want to see those concert sequences in IMAX. Other than that, it's cool if you want to wait until streaming. And what do you think is the best music biopic in recent time? It feels like the past 10 years has been filled with them. I would probably have to go with Better Man. Yes, the movie where British pop star Robbie Williams is portrayed by a CGI monkey, but it has depth and character development, along with some great performances. Highly recommend. Now let's break down that ending, what exactly happened, and if there's going to be a sequel. The entire plot, what Michael is fighting the entire movie, is his troubling relationship with his father. And once he overcomes that, the movie wraps up with him on his final The Jacksons tour, where he finally puts his father in his place. The movie then jumps years ahead to Michael on his Bad album tour in London. And after his performance, which is a lot of fun, the credits roll and say his story continues. People are taking this one of two ways. Our show is sponsored by Dubby Energy. Are you tired of the same old energy drinks and how they're making you feel after the fact? Then Dubby's got you covered with an extensive list of clean, safe energy drinks. And you can find a link to their inventory in the description of today's video. And use our code What's Happening for 10% off of your purchase. Go be better and get energized with Dubby. Saying, yeah, we know they left out a big portion of the story, but they said it continues, basically saying that was the portion they wanted to tell, nothing more. Or this is their way of soft launching a sequel, saying, yes, we know the story isn't complete, but that's because it will be finished in our next movie. Personally, I don't like either of these approaches. Either way, I think a person as big as Michael Jackson with a story like this, maybe you make a movie that's over 2.5 hours long, but you tell all of it in a single sitting. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And that is not the case in Michael. It is 100% made for the die-hard Michael Jackson fans who just want to relive some of his biggest moments, nothing more. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't listen to Bad on my way home from the theater. And that's going to do it for this episode of What's Happening with me, Casey Foreman. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.